Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SportsTech ALLSTARS podcast. We're motoring along in our series of talking to leaders in sports tech and innovation from India. And on today's episode, I've got Siddharth Raman, CEO of Sportz Interactive, to tell you more. Sportz Interactive delivers fan engagement for its clients through data, content, and technology offerings. Its clients include the IOC, FIFA, UEFA, Formula One, NBA India, Star Sports, RB Leipzig, the IPL, and various other sports teams and corporates. Siddharth will tell you also that he joined Sportz Interactive as an intern many years before he eventually took over as the CEO in 2024. You'll also be able to tell pretty quickly that the episode was recorded a couple of days ago. So, look, I can go past my change of appearance and let's hear more from Siddharth.
This is the SportsTech ALLSTARS podcast, showcasing outstanding startups and initiatives in the global sports tech ecosystem. From SportsTechX, the leading source for data and insights about sports tech, here is your host, Rohn Malhotra.
All right, Siddharth, it's good to have you on the show. Let's start the origin story. I mean, you've done a lot of very interesting things in sports. I was having a look at your profile from Formula One to RCB to in cricket, and now, of course, and then as a marketing agency as well, right? Before you've landed at Sportz Interactive. Walk me through that journey, why the interest in sports, and then you can take us into what Sportz Interactive does exactly.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you for having me here, and a pleasure to be on the podcast and talk to you. So, I think, as cliched as it may sound, I've always been a sports fan. I grew up watching sport. Cricket was my first love. I grew up in a household where watching cricket was, as normal as breathing. So, and being a cricket fan was something that ran in the family, and that kind of set the ball rolling for me. In terms of just loving any kind of sport as a child. I never really thought I could build a career in sport as I was growing up. It always was something I loved watching, loved playing. But then I think as I got into my engineering degree and once I was about to graduate, I saw that there are opportunities in sports media, sports broadcast, this thing called sports management, sports marketing. This is around the time IPL also came up in India in 2008. I've been extremely lucky at this right place, right time. And a lot of those factors have helped in me being able to find opportunities where I could convert my passion into a profession. I think when I moved on from my job in tech to get into an MBA, I went to a college that had not even a specialization, but a subject in sports marketing. As a part of the second year, and that's as a part of the second year of specialization in brand management, and that's when I really wanted. I went after figuring out a career in sport quite seriously. Again, right place, right time. I ended up getting an opportunity to intern with Force India at that time because there was a very kind professor of mine on campus who knew the head of marketing of Force India in India at that point in time, and also then put in a word for me to get interviewed for a project that they were running in that particular year, which was again right place, right time. That project didn't happen the year before.
Sorry, for somebody who might know, just to clarify, Force India was the Formula One team that India had. This is in the early 2010s, late aughts and early 10s.
Early 2010s, and that was the year they actually launched the Force India Driver Academy, which was called the One from a Billion Hunt. And Formula One fans today from India might know a certain Jehan Daruwala, who was actually identified as a 12-year-old kid then to be groomed to become a Formula One driver 10 years from then. So I always talk about that project with a great amount of pride. And because of that, with the exposure, and Force India was a part of the UB Group, and UB Group also owned a cricket team in the IPL, Royal Challengers Bangalore. Thanks to that connection, post my MBA, I was able to get a job at UB Group and work in RCB. The IPL franchise, and again got again the opportunity to work on quite a few interesting brands at that time. The FIFA Under 17 World Cup that happened in India in 2017, Puma's association with Virat, when they signed up Virat for that 8-year deal that they got again, was we worked with Puma in helping bring that property, that association to life. Worked with Twitter for the 2015 Cricket World Cup when they were trying to drive a lot of user acquisition from India on the back of cricket conversations during the Cricket World Cup. So a lot of different things over there, and then the opportunity to came to Sportz Interactive and come to Sportz Interactive in 2017, where I joined the organization as chief business officer. So an interesting aside is my first internship in sport. While the long term internship was yes Force India, my first short-term internship in sport with them, this is before Force India, was actually at Sportz Interactive in 2011. I had the opportunity, and again, right place, right time. 2011 was when the Cricket World Cup happened in India. I had the opportunity to be a fan engagement associate for Castrol Cricket, which was being managed by Sportz Interactive at that point in time. So I was in B school in Ahmedabad, and there were 3 World Cup games in Ahmedabad. So I got to actually go and watch a cricket match, and I got paid for it to go and capture live moments from the stadium of fan reactions that would then go up live on castrolcricket.com. And thanks that I even got to watch the India-Australia quarterfinal, one of my favorite cricket matches of all time. And to get paid to do that was a dream come true then. So yeah, that in a nutshell is my journey. Happy to talk a little bit more about Sportz Interactive through this conversation, but yeah, that's a slightly longer than expected introduction, but hopefully it gives your audience a flavor of my background.
All good. Context setting is important, and I did realize that there were some videos maybe somewhere in the ether, and I tried to quickly look them up on YouTube. I haven't found anything yet, Siddharth. If I do, I'll make sure to post them on this episode link. But all right, perfect segue into Sportz Interactive. What exactly do you guys do? What is the problem you solve, and how do you solve?
Yes, I think the single line descriptor of what we do is we empower sports organizations to maximize fan affinity and commercialization. Right, that's a log line of what we do. I think if we break that down one level below, it's we help sports organizations acquire, retain, and commercialize sports fans. Right, so we are a B2B company. Our customers are sports franchises, sports leagues, or anybody or any organization in sport, and everything that we do for them is from a fan engagement perspective. So while our customers are B2B, I think our end consumers are sports fans at the end of the day, right? So we end up deploying products and services on behalf of customers for sports fans. And powering all of this across acquisition, retention, and commercialization is what we call a Fanalytics suite. I think everyone's aware of sports analytics, and I think a lot of that is focused on athlete and player performance. But what we are building our niche and our expertise in is in Fanalytics, which is helping understand sports fans better, right? And we break that down into 3 broad buckets. The first is just overall Fanalytics strategy from a digital perspective. So we do audits of digital assets for our existing customers, just from a fan engagement assets, how are they placed on a website, mobile app, gaming perspective, social media, how are they performing over there. Given that we've been in the business for 22 years, we were founded in 2002, literally out of a garage here in Mumbai. We have wealth of experience over these 2 decades in informing our customers on what best practices are when it comes to acquisition, retention, and commercialization. And then we actually end up building 3 to 5 year roadmaps for them, which is a journey of digital transformation of their fan engagement assets across the organization. And we don't just end there. We actually bring those digital roadmaps to life, right? Which is the second aspect of what we do. The first one is strategy. Second one is the entire fan engagement enablers and the experiences that we deliver for rights holders. So that could be ranging from live scores, match centers, building out your websites, apps, entire gamification suite. So fantasy and variants of that, classic, daily, draft, to simple games like quizzes, predictors, live match interactions, and then even casual games, and all of this being sport agnostic. And we also then create content for them on social media to build top of funnel to be able to grow the brand on digital. And then we also have backend efficiency enablers. We have video tech solutions for broadcasters that help drive using automated artificial intelligence and machine learning, automate the entire highlight creation process for a rights holder. We have a automated video creation software as well, given how much video content gets consumed by fans on digital, on owned platforms. We're able to automate the video generation process for a lot of rights holders over there. And we also have a production center of excellence. Think of it like a global capability center based out of our office in Mumbai. We have 700 people over here, and we help our customers drive a lot of efficiencies on the back without compromising on quality of work. And then we also integrated a lot of third parties, whether they are OTT providers, the digital asset management platforms, payments, SSOs, and a bunch of others. So we know what we are good at, but we also know where we need to bring in third parties for our customers. And that's the entire second pillar of fan experiences for them, which is front ends and also powering the back end, which fans don't necessarily get exposed to always. And the third one is running campaigns that actually help retain and commercialize fans. And this is where we plug in either a CDP or a CEP and help essentially deliver personalized experiences for fans at scale. So if you're an IPL team or if you're a large rights holder based in the European Union or UK, if you are sitting on a large amount of first party data, we help you make sense of the data, create cohorts, run customized campaigns for fans, help understand fans better, look at just on based on campaign performance in real time, make tweaks. We do stuff like A/B testing, control group uplift, and just a continuous loop of how we can get better, helping retain and commercialize fans. And all of this we measure in terms of just how we help our customers acquire fans. It's either total first party database and total fan base, retain in terms of daily active users, monthly active users, total amount of time spent watching videos, or total amount of gaming minutes spent, and commercialization, which could be either uplift in ticket sales, merchandise sales, it could be uplift in sponsorship revenue on the back of digital, or something that we've been seeing over the past 3 to 4, over the past couple of years at least, is just increase in enterprise value on the back of first party data, and with a lot of private equity investment coming into sports organizations. I think the value of first party data and just how well you know your fans is helps in driving an uptick in enterprise value as well, right? So I think that's in a 3 or 4 minute summary everything that we do as an org.
Yeah, fair. It's a rich set of solutions, obviously, that you provide. You've already mentioned that you've been doing this for 20 plus years, so it makes sense that you do have a rich set of solutions. So good to go from strategy to the second section, which is kind of execution, helping build out the assets that the organization actually needs to connect with fans. And then the last one, running specific campaigns tailored to specific requirements, perhaps. Yeah, those 3 essential buckets. Who have you been doing this for? Maybe you can share some big success stories that you have. You already mentioned that you've been working in the European Union, in the UK, and other parts of the world. So maybe some familiar names that our listeners might know.
So UEFA has been one of our long-standing clients. It's a great partnership we had starting way back in 2016. So we are in the 8th year of our...
I know you've been running their fantasy app for
Correct.
a while.
So the official fantasy game that you see on UEFA Gaming Hub for the Euros, Champions League, Europa League, all built and powered by Sportz Interactive. And now we've gone beyond fantasy to quizzers as well. So if there's a quizzing live, there's a quizzer platform on UEFA that you'll see that's also built and managed by us. So that's one large customer that we have in the European Union. We've been working with Formula One for the past 2 years now. Again, official fantasy game that you see on the Formula One app and Formula1.com, built and powered by Sportz Interactive. We work with the IOC, and the IOC has also been a customer now for close to 5 years for us. And we actually help them grow and retain their base in India. So we are India market expert for the IOC. We've been helping them since 2019 grow the presence of Olympics.com, Olympic channel, Olympics.com. They have owned assets over here. And then also, the social media presence in India. So there are separate social media handles for the IOC, just in terms of content specifically tailored for the Indian fans. And I think just in terms of success, UEFA, one of the things that we've seen is that of all the first party data that they've captured last season, 60% of the new signups actually came up through our fantasy game. Right. So, and this is when you have UEFA TV available as well. Right. So gamification as a big driver of fan acquisition, I think, is something that we are very proud of for them. For the Olympics, India was, and they've gone on record to say that India was the third largest market for them on digital in 2021, even though India had only 7 medals, but India was just behind US and Japan. And just the sheer scale of numbers we're able to deliver for them 25 million uniques coming on Olympics.com from India, which is obviously on the back of a lot of the work that we've done with them in helping build that authority from an SEO perspective, but then also on the back of churning out the right kind of content, the content strategy that tailors that's tailored to the Indian market. And then in terms of consumption, also close to 500 million video views that have come just on the back of content from India for them on social media platforms. So that's the kind of success that we take pride in delivering for our customers. And look, all this then also helps from a medium to long term and driving commercialization as well. So when the official fantasy game for UEFA was built out, we actually helped the commercial team in finding a sponsor to come on board to actually be a part of the official game experience, right? So PlayStation 5 and is an official partner for that, and we work very closely with commercial teams of our customers to be able to bring in the right customer and show them what it will actually look like, and pitch a tailored solution based on the brand, based on the product they're trying to bring on board. So we have, it's not like we are tech only and we deliver a game and our job ends there. We realize the importance of being able to commercialize and coming in with that mindset of doing what it takes to without compromising on the fan experience, obviously. So those are the kind of success stories that we've seen in the UK and EU market. But while those are big names, I think we also work with other federations in the market from a fan acquisition, retention, and commercialization perspective. So FIH for hockey, International Paralympic Committee, United World Wrestling, World Triathlon, all of these are customers of ours. So is FIBA, and it's one of them across the three things that I spoke to you about. It's a combination of one or all of them that we do for them, and those are also been fairly long-standing relationships.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, again, for you to have been around for as long, it obviously means you've got a rich list of clients. But given that list of clients, can you talk to me about the evolution of the needs of those clients that you've seen over this period of time, and especially around fan data? Because I mean, let's say that's the core of what you do. You'd call it fan analytics. Fan data is the, let's say, oil, gold rush, whatever you want to call it, that every sports organization is dying for, or certainly wants to enrich whatever it has. How have you seen that the understanding of those requirements and that evolution over the last, how many ever years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, so I think the first strands of these conversations probably came in, call it 5 to 6 years ago, and this was largely driven in the EU and UK, where I think the one deal that made everyone sit up and take notice was Spotify in Barcelona, where the importance of first-party data was really came to the fore from a commercialization perspective, right? I think until then, people took pride in talking about how many fans they have or followers they have on social media, which I think was a metric relevant for those times. But I think as times evolved, now with every customer who we talk to, I think the realization is there that I would rather have 1 million fans who I know a lot about versus 10 million fans on social who I know nothing about, right? So I think that evolution is definitely very much in play. And I think depending on the type of organization, based on how digitally mature they are, there are different levels that you'll see organizations in. But I think the common strand is everyone today, and this is not just in EU and UK, but even in India. I think everyone realizes that first party data is critical. Like you said, first party data is what if data is the new oil. I think our products are the oil rigs, so to speak, and the entire analytics offering is the refinery, right? Because it's not just about drilling out the oil, but it's also about refining and making it usable, which is what our entire analytics suite does. So I think that is something that we've seen across the board, and for I'd say tier 2 organizations, it's about I need to acquire this base first. I need to build a sizable base. I need to run acquisition campaigns to be able to at least have an addressable set or reachable set of users through emails, phone numbers, primarily those two. For maybe more evolved ones who already run acquisition, it's about how do I enrich fan data, which is how do I, it's not just demographic data, but also behavioral and psychographic that I'm able to, glean from based on, so, and this is not user surveys where I'll ask them to fill a form and tell me more, but it's about understanding based on their behavior on web and apps. And then based on that, how do I actually build meaningful enough cohorts, run personalized campaigns, and then take that to potential sponsors to say, here's how here's how well I know my fans, and here's how you can connect with them in a meaningful way. So there are, I'd say, rights holders across this entire spectrum, from, hey, I need to build and grow my first party database, to, hey, I have a first party database, I need to enrich it now, to, hey, I've got this first party database, I've enriched it, now how do I actually take this to in a meaningful way to partners?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that kind of nicely ties up to the three buckets of how you presented the company solutions, from strategy to actually building out assets to then implementing those assets through campaigns where you can actually put them to work and actually get the monetization engine rolling. All right. So I think we've talked a bit about what you guys do in the European context or in the global context, a lot of the solutions that you have. I want to bring it to India now for a second. And for a company that's been, let's say, call it a SportsTech, sports data company built 20 plus years ago, where this term certainly didn't exist. Even the concept of SportsTech is probably at best 10 years old, if that. How have you seen the evolution in that market? The growth of the commercialization of sports post the IPL and also other sports, but also just the evolution of tech. You mentioned earlier about, when you entered the workforce, there weren't really career opportunities in sport, right? Today, it seems like that is changing. Not only if you're the potential to be an athlete, but if you just want to work in sport, companies such as yours and others are providing employment opportunities in the sector as well. So how have you seen that evolution, from a business standpoint, from the, let's say, B2B organizations, and B, culturally as well, that mindset shift? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So again, I think we've been very fortunate to have been a part of the growth of sports in India, and I think I'll address the second part first because it has an impact on the first one, right? While yes, cricket is important and the a primary driver of a lot of revenues in the sports industry. I think between 2014 and now, just the rise of so many other sports and sports leagues, and rise and sustenance of sports and sports leagues, right? So kabaddi, football, you had Kho-Kho, volleyball. There were a few challenges for non-cricket sports during the pandemic, but quite a few of them have bounced back, and you've got new ones that have come back, come in. So post the pandemic, so culturally, this entire thing of, hey, these leagues, this entire concept of leagues, which IPL has helped build acceptance for within society as a whole, and taking this league model to other sports, I think is great to see. It's helped create employment opportunities not just for athletes in those sports, but I think also for the larger ecosystem working, as support for all of these leagues through the year. And I think the impact of that on business as a whole, I think, has been super helpful, to say the least, right? I think there's the growth of the sports industry from a B2B perspective, and this is something that's very close to my heart, where I tell a lot of brands that invest in sport, and these are brands that cut across categories like automotive, e-commerce, banking, etc. That you always look at a media plan where you have TV, print, radio, digital. Sports needs to be a separate platform as well to build your brand. You need to have TV prints, TV print, radio, and sport. It can't be that I do a sports sponsorship as a one-off and leave it at that. You need to look at sport also as a way to build your brand and help achieve long-term business objectives. And that's where hopefully now we'll start seeing a few more brands doing this, because iconic global brands like Coca-Cola, P&G, Samsung have all done this, right, with their association with sport, and sports marketing is a key function within each of those organizations. I think the next, while sport has grown, while I think the opportunity for employment from a sports rights holder perspective and support around that has grown in terms of sports operations, digital marketing, or stuff that we do as products and services that we offer to sports organizations. I think the next big challenge is going to be I won't say challenge, but growth opportunity is going to be when established marquee brands actually look at sport as a way to grow their to grow their brand and help achieve business objectives. And you're already seeing that with large business houses and corporate brands like Reliance, JSW, GMR, Adani, making significant investment in growing their sport businesses. And it's not and this is not CSR in any way, right? I think this is how do you actually build a long-term sustainable sport business, just like you would in any other stream. And I think just seeing more organizations do that is where you're going to see the next wave of potential growth coming in the sports industry, and also employment generation for folks in the country.
What about that? What about the future excites you the most? What innovation in the sports industry within India are you most keenly looking at?
I think just this entire, I think Fanalytics as a whole, and the different strands within that, right? Like, and when you started watching the IPL, and I'll give the example of IPL. When you started watching the IPL, it was all about just watching it on TV, right? I think the first innovation from a digital perspective came in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, when IPL was live streamed on YouTube as well, when internet was just picking up. But then with the geo revolution around the commoditization of data, access of high speed internet to so many different places, is the ability of the mobile phone being either a primary or secondary screen while watching a live game, gives it lends itself so well to innovations in sport and sport tech. And I think just over the past couple of years, the innovations you've been seeing on OTT for IPL, where you're no longer at the mercy of a producer to look at a wagon wheel or a Manhattan or the live scorecard of a match, right? You can click on the top right, go into hype mode, see what you want to see. This year, Jio has provided stuff like Hero Cam, where again, you can choose your camera angle from which you want to watch. And if you want to see what Virat Kohli is doing for all 20 overs and RCB is fielding, you can go ahead and do that. I think those kind of innovations are stuff that are things that fans really will lap up. And this is not, and a lot of this also I think comes from not just anticipating what fans would want, but also do what Apple does, which is basically make people realize they needed something which they never thought they did, right? And some of the stuff that we are doing in that space from a live sports engagement perspective is how do you complement what you're seeing on screen through whether it's predictors, whether it's innovative gaming products. Like we have a product called Bingo, where you get a bingo ticket, or housey in the Indian context, and instead of numbers, you get live match events as they happen. And if the match event happens, you need to tap on it within 30 seconds to unlock that, and then you get your standard top row, middle row, bottom row, and Jaldify and houseful, which just makes the live match viewing experience so much more fun and engaging, and you can play with other people as well and compare how well you've done. And then this entire rise of fantasy, daily fantasy, especially because I think India skipped the classic fantasy wave. Everyone's gone into daily fantasy directly, and that's also democratized just the fan engagement to a large degree, where that's a great hook to bring people into the sport and also keep them engrossed during a live game, right? I think, and just constant innovations over there in game formats, in minor tweaks and rules that has helped drive significant scale up in terms of users acquired and time spent. All those things are stuff that I'm actually excited about and looking forward to.
I like the bingo card idea. So it can be like a Virat Kohli cover drive plus MS Dhoni stumping and I don't know, a Bumrah Yorker all happening on the same day. And if I get my bingo card, which is brilliant.
Yes.
Love that. All right. You touched on that towards the end. So I want to expand on that about what Sportz Interactive is going to be doing. What's coming up next in the next 12, 18 months? What are you guys focusing on?
So I think a large part of our growth we are seeing coming from, I think, three broad areas. The first overarching theme is obviously analytics and taking that to the UK and Europe market. So today, we've been in business for 22 years, 700 people, largely based in India. We've got offices. We've got an office in Singapore as well. We just made our first hire in EU and UK, but without really having feet on ground in that market, about 30-35% of our business comes from the UK and EU, right? We are excited about the opportunity of taking Fanalytics to that market and growing, working with a lot more rights holders over there in helping them understand just what it will take to achieve success. And success means the the measures of success are different for different organizations, and therefore I think the ability to talk to a bunch of different rights holders and be able to drive success for them is something that we're really looking forward to from a analytics perspective. I think the second one that we're looking at, and I briefly touched upon this, is video tech, and just being able to drive efficiencies for a lot of not just broadcasters but any rights holder. And so nowadays even teams are rights holders in their own way, right, when it comes to video content, and being able to help them efficiently clip, cut, produce a lot of video content, which is what fans are looking for on social and on their own platforms. And it doesn't, and using technology the right way to do that, which just helps video, which helps humans get better at what they do and focus on the stuff that really matters versus focusing only on hygiene and not the most efficient use of their time. So we are building an entire video tech suite which is going to be sport agnostic for rights holders to be able to scale up their video content production. And gaming is another area that we're really focusing on in terms of helping a lot of rights holders. And we've seen this on the back of all the data that we have access to. Right, and gaming is a great way to acquire or retain fans, depending on the type of fan you're looking at, depending on the type of sport, and depending on the kind of business opportunity you're trying to go after. And I think just further enhancing our gaming suite, whether it's casual games, like we've already built a Wordle game which is sport agnostic, so you could have a football Wordle, a cricket Wordle, you could have Hangman. So it's the kind of games that appeal to flirts, to the type that appeal to fans, which could be predictors, live match predictors, pre-game predictors, which are light touch, low engagement, but easy way to get you hooked. To then go into the fanatics, which is your classic fantasy, daily fantasy, for fans who are much more invested in that. So I think this that entire gaming suite is what we're seeing driving a lot of traction for us in UK and EU. And I think the last one under analytics is also helping a lot of rights holders understand India and grow their base over here, because India is sitting on 800 million internet users, majority of them through smartphones. There is a burgeoning sports culture over here. People are recognizing sports beyond cricket, so there's an opportunity to do a lot over there. And we're already doing this with the likes of the NBA, the IOC have already spoken about, UFC, Major League Baseball. We've been working with them and actually helping grow their audience base here in India. And I think that's a massive opportunity for clubs and rights holders in UK and EU also to look at as their next frontier for fan acquisition and fan retention. But also knowing and being that thought partner to clients, letting them know that India is going to be a DAO MAO market. You're going to be able to drive a lot of volume from here, but ARPU is going to take some time. Right? You're not going to be, your average revenue per user is going to be lower over a period of time, but the volumes will make up for it in the medium to long term. Right? So I think that's something that we are excited about. So under analytics, these three things is what we are seeing as the big drivers of growth for us.
Yeah, and obviously we're at SportsTechX also big believers in the India story. That's why we've been investing in either events. We've got the Indian SportsTech report coming up. From two perspectives. One is obviously within the domestic market itself, to educate the market, to talk about the opportunities that exist and the growing sports interest and therefore commercialization that can happen in India. And B, also to present that story a bit more to the Western markets. I mean, it's well covered in our content so far. India is a big place for investment in sports technology. It has been traditionally in fantasy, in fitness, and in gaming. Those are the three buckets that have been driving it, but that's changing. And video is a big part of that changing. And the fan data part is the second area that it's growing very fast and very strong as well. So that it has been an absolute pleasure. We've motored through the conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time. If somebody wants to reach out to you, what is the best place to do that? On LinkedIn or via your email?
LinkedIn, I try and stay on top of that. I try and clear my LinkedIn inbox once a week. So LinkedIn is the best way to reach out.
Done. We will drop your profile in the show notes. Before I let you go, I have one last question to ask. It is my favorite one to ask. I want to know what has been, we're well established that we're sports fans. You certainly are. What has been your favorite sporting moment?
There are many. And look, any Indian will tell you.
I'm sure.
Any Indian will tell you winning the World Cup in 2011. So I'm going to avoid throwing a cliche over there. One of my favorite ones is probably Wimbledon 2001. Goran Ivanisevic wild card winning on People's Monday.
Wow.
That's the best possible sports story you can think of. It the stuff of fairy tales.
Great shout, right? I think Pat Rafter, right?
Yes,
in the final?
Pat Rafter in the final.
If I'm not mistaken, if my memory served me right. Incredible game. Great shout. Thank you for that. So that take a little jog down memory lane. I appreciate that. That's also why I like to ask that question. Always ends the pod with a smile, certainly on my guest and for me as well. And hopefully for our listeners. Thank you so much once again for taking the time, Siddharth.
Thanks, Ron.
All right, that is a wrap for another episode. We're continuing on our series of focusing on great talent in the Indian sports tech ecosystem, all culminating in our Indian Sports Tech report, which will be out in a few weeks. All right, stay tuned for another one in a week. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the SportsTech All-Stars podcast with Rohn Malhotra. If you like our show, let us know and leave a review. And if you want to know more about us, check out SportsTechX.com, where you can find our latest industry reports and updates. For a deeper dive into all things sports tech, check out our comprehensive database, SportsTechDB, at SportsTechDB.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at SportsTechX on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Join us next time for another insightful conversation with a leader in sports tech.